Hello, I want to review analyzing pieces of music and identifying non-chord tones specifically. So non-chord tones. There is a Wikipedia article on non-chord tones that is pretty good, and I encourage you to visit that and read it. Also, there is um, a page on embellishing tones on openmusictheory.com. So if you go to openmusictheory.com/embellishingtones.html, you will find it. You can also Google it, Open Music Theory Embellishing Tones. So what are embellishing tones? Embellishing tones are notes or tones that don't fit into the harmony, the main harmony that is sounding at that time. The most common one is the passing tone. In this case, we have a C chord, and the D does not fit into it. There is a passing motion in the same direction, so this is a passing tone. Similarly, there's a stepwise motion up and down, back, so this is a neighbor tone. We have double neighbors here in C, from E, from the chord tone going to a non-chord tone up by step, leaping down to another non-chord tone and resolving back up to a chord tone. So we have a double neighbor figure or a double neighbor tone. Sometimes we can consider an incomplete neighbor tone, or it can also be called an appoggiatura, depending on how you interpret it. So it can be interpreted as an incomplete neighbor tone. Here are examples of appoggiatura. Appoggiaturas are approached by leap, which is much more rare than approaching by step. So it's more common to approach non-chord tones by step. But if there is a leap away from the harmony onto a non-chord tone, we call it an appoggiatura. So here are two. Reversely, if a non-chord tone is approached by step but then leaped away to a chord tone again, then we call it an escape tone. If we anticipate the harmony that follows here from a G chord, GBD, the D is omitted here, but if we go to C, it doesn't fit into the G harmony, but it anticipates the C harmony that follows, so we call it an anticipation. Okay, here is an example of a syncopation you can study. I want to focus on suspensions. Suspensions are notes that are first introduced as a chord tone. In this case, in the F harmony, F, A, C, C is a chord tone. If it moves to a G harmony, G, B, D, the C is directly repeated or tied over, and it becomes a non-chord tone. And that's what we call a suspension. And that suspension is resolved down by step. We usually label suspensions by the interval between the bass note and the non-chord tone. So the C is a fourth above G. It's technically an octave and a fourth, but we just call it a fourth. So this is a 4-3 suspension, because a G to C is a fourth, G to B is a third. And reversely, at least in tonal music, we can have retardations if a tone is introduced as a chord tone, and then here the lower one is a suspension, it resolves down. The upper one is a retardation. Retardations resolve up. So the B is introduced as a chord tone in the G harmony, G, B, D, F. So B becomes a non-chord tone in the C harmony and resolves up by step. So that's a retardation. The F is a suspension, so we can have a suspension and a retardation going on at the same time. If we now look at a real piece of music, this is Bach Chorale. Let me just play a little bit of it so we get something into our ears. We should always listen to music. Then it sounds like. Of course, I made a mistake and I think it stopped recording. No, it is still recording, I think. We will see. So let me, I got confused here by the recording. Let me start over. Yeah, let me continue. Played the B there a little bit late, but we see here there are certain chords. Of course, this piece is in G major. Here we have a C harmony, C, E, G, which is a Roman 4 in the key of G. And the B does not fit into the harmony and is approached stepwise and resolved stepwise in the same direction. So here we have an example of a passing tone. Now here we have a D chord, D, F sharp, A. The F sharp A is a Roman 5. And then we have this motion down here. Now this C is best not to be analyzed as a passing tone, but to be analyzed as a chord tone, because whenever we have a Roman 5, we analyze, it is best to analyze the seventh, that could be a seventh, as a chord 7. So D, F sharp, A, C is the chord 7th, which then resolves down, and so on. So then it goes to an E chord, E, G, B, and the C does not fit into the harmony. Here we have another example of a passing tone. Let me go ahead toward the end here. Here we have C, the C harmony, which is Roman 4 in the key of G. The B does not fit into it. It goes down stepwise in the same direction, so it's a passing tone. Then going to a D harmony, D, F sharp, A. Of course, the G does not fit into the harmony. It was introduced as a chord tone, becomes a non-chord tone. That is a suspension. Suspensions usually fall on strong beats, and this, of course, is a strong beat. And it is resolved down by step. We label the suspensions by the interval between the bass note and the non-chord tone. D to G is a 4th, and then the resolution is D to F sharp, that's a 3rd, so that's a 4-3 suspension. We also at the same time have a passing tone here to the B, and this C is part of Roman 5 because it makes Roman 5 as 5-7, so that C is best analyzed as the chord 7th. Anyways, this was just a brief review of non-chord tones.